Hello, it's me, Tracy. Welcome to the podcast. Before we dive in, I need to let you know that applications are now open for my freedom-filled Mastermind 2026. It was previously known as the Inner Circle Mastermind, but has now evolved into something even more powerful. This is the mastermind women join to scale their memberships, coaching programs, and online courses, and to look after themselves in the process. It is where you will unlock greater capacity, a calmer nervous system, and a healthier body as you grow your lifestyle business. It is intimate, it is high level, and it is exclusively for 20 women only in 2026. You'll get the digital sales systems and processes to scale your freedom-filled business and life, a power circle that you can trust, more access to me, and 2 luxe 3-day fresh retreats hosted in Australia and Bali. We begin in January 2026, but applications are open right now, but not for too long. This round is going to be electric. If you know that your next level is calling you, go to freedomfilledmastermind.com right now to apply. Mums with Hustle podcast, episode 510.
Welcome to the Mums with Hustle podcast, where you'll discover everyday mum entrepreneurs killing it in their industry. Learn the secrets you can replicate to create your own success with your host, Tracy Harris.
Hey friend, welcome back to the show. Today's episode is all about webinars. Buckle up. But before we dive into the numbers and the strategy bits, I want to take you behind the scenes a little bit, because deciding to master webinars was not just a strategy move for me. It was a commitment. It was a true decision. And Tony Robbins talks about the power of a true decision. We've all met people who we can tell, they say they want something, but they don't really. They say they're going to do something, but they haven't truly committed. The power of a true decision is what clicks someone out of being a dabbler into truly being a doer. And there is an identity shift that happens when you truly make a decision. You become unstoppable, right? So when I talk about my moment of true decision to master webinars, that's what I'm talking about, that moment of true decision, a real decision to study it, to practice it through repetition, to surround myself with people who were actively becoming greater at doing them themselves, people who could lead the way and show me the way, and then committing to actually doing it myself over and over and over again, even to developing the habits of mind that mastery always requires. And when I say mastery, I mean the willingness to learn something deeply, not just dabble. It is about watching the data and getting curious and excited about it. It is about paying attention to your audience. It's about refining your presentation and your teaching practice and getting better. And it's about showing up again and again until eventually it feels effortless, because it is so hardwired that even without any preparation, you could rock up and deliver a 6-figure webinar because you've done it so much. And when I decided to really double down on webinar launches, everything in my business shifted. And before I go any further, because I know some of you are thinking, oh, but it's easy for you because you must be a XYZ. No, it was not easy. My natural love of teaching, and I'll probably go into this as I chat, but my natural love of teaching was always there. But what you assume is there that is not there is that I am not an extrovert. I am an introvert. I would rather be alone than be with lots of people. I do not gain my energy from being in the presence of others. I gain my energy, I recharge my batteries and my soul by being alone, being peaceful, having time away from others. And I share this with you because quite often there can be this misconception, which I will just come out and say is an excuse to hide. And it's this belief that if you're an introvert, you can't do XYZ. Like you can't do video-based marketing or you can't do webinars. And it's like, no, I mean, I actually feel like the majority of entrepreneurs, so many that you know and love, are introverts. I think of incredible people in the online space and they are actually introverts. Mel Robbins is an introvert. Denise Duffield-Thomas is an introvert. Gabby Bernstein is an introvert. All of these people. And so, you know, when are we going to stop making it mean that if you're an introvert, you can't do the grown-up things in your business? It's simply not true. It also doesn't mean that you are shy. Some extroverts are shy, others aren't. Just be careful of what you make things mean. Anyway, I digress. When I decided to double down on webinar launches, I was saying, you know, everything in my business really shifted. And in the lead up to that, I had already run multiple challenge style launches and I'd run the same ones on repeat. And they did really well also. But I knew that if I wanted to really scale and leverage time better, I just needed to pick one and master one so that I had this one really working exceptionally well, optimized launch funnel. So instead of planning for 2 different funnels in a year, or even 3, because I'd also practiced multiple video series launches, and those worked as well. But I decided to put my resources, my energy, my time, my talent, my team power and bandwidth into just dialing in one of those. And so that actually reduced costs in the business, increased profitability, and also just reduced overwhelm and workload, because now we were choosing to master one thing, and that is simplicity. And I love it. And so I chose to optimize the webinar. So why is that? We'll talk about that as I go through the podcast episode. Side note, I am bringing this episode to you from bed. I'm not sick. I'm not tired. I just work best in bed. It's really cool. I've got this microphone here. I've got my laptop in front of me and we're just having a chat like this. It's like you're sitting on my bed, right? Having girly hangs. That's what is going on here. So anyway, why did I choose the webinar launch model over the others to like really double down on? I think it's just because I loved it. I loved it for so many reasons. I love it because it's simple. I love it because it's focused. I love it because they're deeply personal. I love it because it's the most time efficient for my people and for me. Why would I ask already overstretched, overworked, overwhelmed women to come to a challenge and make them jump through hoops for days and days on end when I could just invite them to a webinar in about an hour to 90 minutes? They can receive their transformation, a long-term transformation. And then if they're interested, they can also stay on to hear me talk about my offer and the next steps and how I can help them. Like if I can do that in a shorter period of time, why would I not do that? It's great for my beautiful community. I think you ladies prefer that. At least that's what you've told me. And I definitely prefer that. So anyway, let's clear up some myths, because there's always myths about webinars and live launches and webinars that are free in particular. Side note, this year I've experimented with paid webinars and free webinars. So it was really cool to be able to say I've executed on yet another thing. And I am someone that I go first, I execute, I get my hands dirty, and then I come back into my containers and I really pull back the curtain, particularly in my inner circle mastermind. That whole space is there for me to really pull back the curtain on everything that is working, not working, things that I'm experimenting with, things that I'm considering axing or no longer doing. Like my ladies in the Inner Circle Mastermind get all of that. But yeah, let's dive into the myths about webinars, because I know that you've probably heard these before. So myth number 1 is that webinars are dead. And no, it's not even close to being true. Free webinars, paid webinars, whatever webinars, they still work incredibly well when they are done with heart and when they are done with strategy. And the truth is that people still love learning from real humans live. Oh my gosh. Why is everyone wanting to hide and just automate everything? Let's build our capacity to serve and lead live. All right, myth number 2. No one shows up anymore. Well, actually, my data and my client's data shows the complete opposite. When your topic is strong and when your pre-webinar emails build excitement, people do show up. In fact, we often see, and my mentees as well, because they implement my show up systems, we often see 30 to 40% attendance rates, right on par with the best of the best in the industry. It doesn't really get any better than that. Myth number 3 is that free webinars don't convert. And this one, said with love, makes me laugh a little bit, because so far from my experience, this is so far from my experience. My mentees and I are living proof that webinars do convert massively when you understand how to lead them. And so if something isn't working for you or for someone else in the online space, and you see them and you love them and you respect them and you think that they're awesome, and they're saying something's not working for them, it's just that it's not working for them yet. I'm just willing, or it's not working for you yet. I'm just willing to bet that you haven't put in enough of the systems, or there's a knowledge gap, or there's just some strategy pieces that you haven't built yet, or you haven't come across yet. Everything, the key word being yet. And so when we label things so black and white as this is in and this is out, we really run the risk of missing out. So anyway, that is that. So one of my mentees in my mastermind has sold $15,000, so very high ticket, places in her mastermind straight from a webinar as well. So this can work for really high ticket things, because I know instantly some people are like, oh yes, maybe they're great for low ticket. Well, they work across the board. Just very recently, my amazing clients, Elle and Jess, ran their first ever webinar launch using all of my systems, which fast tracks everything and all of the guesswork. And in just 3 days, they welcomed 60 new members into their membership. Their live webinar conversion rate, well, what was that? I hear some of you smart cookies asking. 30% on average. 30% of people who attended the class purchased, like on that class, people coming to the class purchasing live. Like, how cool is that? It is incredible to sell anything, like even one place live on a webinar, but to have 30% plus people on the webinar with you actually purchase and sign up on the spot, that is amazing. And this year, like I said, I personally ran 2 webinar launches that brought in close to 300 members each time. Well, actually, I ran 2 webinar launches, 1 free and 1 paid. And I might need to do another episode on that at a later date, because I think that the learnings from that were really, really cool. And I want to give you those insights. But I also hosted, where I did 1 free and where I did 1 paid, that was for a high ticket offer. And so with that webinar, I was able to make 6 figures in a single day from 1 class. Like, would that not be cool? And I used to hear people talk about things like that. And I used to think that's so amazing for them. Like, how do I do that? How do I do that? And again, I just kept faffing about until I truly decided to make it be my mission. Like my goal was to conquer this thing, to slay this webinar beast, to just truly learn how to master it. And then this year, I also had a free webinar for a low ticket program. So for my Social Method Society, that is only $100 a month or $1,000 for the year. Is that not wild? I mean, wow. Anyway, I digress. But in that webinar launch, that brought in close to 300 members, like in one go. This is the power of having a webinar system that is proven time and time again, not just for me, but for my mentees inside of my programs. And it is just the coolest thing to see people take it and implement it. And, in my mastermind, they're able to get real-time feedback on how everything is going and, get feedback on their webinar titles, on their bump offers, on their upsells, on their email sequences. Like this is the real stuff that we get to look at. We get to look at every single component and build that out. But before you go thinking that it's all magic, because it is not, it is mastery though. It is systems and it is consistency. So whether you're just getting started with webinars or maybe you have run a few before, what I want to talk to you about now for the rest of this episode are the 7 most important numbers to track when you are doing a webinar launch, because the data tells a story, and those who refuse to make the data important or refuse to capture the right data, refuse to do any sort of post-launch debrief, you have not made a true decision to master a webinar launch. You're being a dabbler. And I just have to say that because I work with incredible female entrepreneurs who say that they really want said result, but whose behavior doesn't match the result that they're wanting. And that includes burying your head in the sand and not knowing your numbers. Now, there are specific numbers that you need to know if you want to crack a live launch and of any kind, even an evergreen launch. But we're speaking today specifically about a live webinar launch. So if you are a beginner, these are the top 7 metrics that you need to track. There are way more as we start moving into that intermediate and then advanced territory. Way more. I think there may be something like, 20 something metrics that you really need to be measuring. But today I'm just going to go through the top 7 quickly, because I know most of you listening to this are in that beginner season. Okay, so number 1 metric is your landing page conversion rate. So imagine inviting 100 people to your party and only 10 people say yes. This tells you something about your invitation, right? It is the same with your webinar. If lots of people are visiting the page, but only a few are signing up, your message might not be clear, or it may not be exciting enough. They may not be certain that this is really worth their time. It could be that there aren't enough times available that actually suit people. There are so many variables. So anyway, your goal is to try to get a minimum of 25 to 40 people out of 100 who see that invitation, the page, to actually sign up. That is your landing page conversion rate. All right, number 2, live attendance rate. So let's just say, and we're going to just keep working with 100 here. Let's just say 100 people are signed up for the webinar. If only 20 people actually show up live, that means 80 of them forgot or lost interest. When I say lost interest, they just decided other things were more important, okay? So this number tells you how well you warmed your people up before the big event. Did you send reminders? Did you build excitement? Did you clearly communicate the value of being there live? because you want at least 30 to 40 out of 100 to actually show up live. All right, let's move on. Number 3 is the watch time. So now they're at your webinar, but are they staying? If people leave before you even get to your offer, that's a clue that something in the middle might be too long or too confusing or boring. So pay attention to how long people are staying before they're leaving your class. If most people stay until the end, then that is more people that are present when you share your offer, and you're doing really great. So pay attention to that number. Number 4 is your sales conversion rate. This is a big one. Are the people buying on the class? Why am I singing? Oh my gosh. Anyway, this number shows you how many of your viewers actually became a customer. They said yes to your offer on the call, on the webinar. Like, you're still talking and they're joining. So that's just, again, with the 100 and the simple maths. If 5 out of 100 people who signed up end up buying on the class, that's a really awesome first webinar. And I want you to really let that sink in. If you have 100 people on your class and 5 of them purchase, that is a really strong start. Now, a lot of people will hear that and they'll feel a little bit deflated. They'll be like, I want more than 5 people to sign up. Well, then guess what? We've got to increase the conversion rate, which we can do. There's a whole series of things that we can do to increase that. But 5% conversion is a strong start. Is it the best? No. Do we want it to look more like 12 to 15%? Yes. Can you get even higher than that? Absolutely. Yes, you can. I've had around 19, 20%. I've got some mentees in my mastermind that have sold, like I said, 30% of the people in the class buying. I've even had one of my mentees convert 50% of her live attendees into a $2,000 program. So, but anyway, starting at 5% is a strong start. We've got things to work with there. That's amazing. Do you want more people than that? Okay, well, you can also, even if you just kept converting at 5% on your class, if you can get more people to sign up, it's going to increase your conversions. If you can get more people to show up, it's going to increase those conversions. So it is all just a numbers game. But we need to get less emotional about it. And this is a huge piece, and take it from me, someone that is very emotional about all of the things. You can learn to remove the emotion out of it, and data really helps to do that. So when you know the data points to look out for, which is why I'm bringing this episode to everyone, it's why I'm teaching this for free. I want you to know this because I want you to stay in the game, and I want you to know that if you haven't got all these pieces there working or there at all, it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of you making a true decision to actually move forward. Place yourself in a situation or in a container where you will be dedicated to mastering this, have the accountability, get some feedback, and just keep moving forward. Now, let's just say 100 people show up and you don't sell anything. Don't stress. It just means that you need to practice getting better at explaining your offer next time. So it's your messaging of the offer and it's your sales strategies. So that's, again, something that you can learn. But where are you going to go to learn that? You've got to have some kind of plan of action to go and learn that. All right, number 5, email follow-up conversion. So here's a little secret. Lots of people won't buy live. One of my longtime mastermind mentees, she does get conversions live on her webinars, but actually most people buy in her follow-up email sequence. So that means that there's obviously opportunity for her to improve the sales conversion part of her webinar. And with my support, she is doing that and it is improving. Yay. In fact, just last week, she had her highest live sales conversion on her webinar. But also something that she has really dialed in is her follow-up email sequence, because most sales for her happen after the webinar, which is really cool. And then I have other clients where most sales for them happens on the webinar itself, and that's definitely our case as well. And then less sales happen in the follow-up email sequence. So guess where we are putting our focuses on? We are now optimizing the follow-up email sequences, because that is an opportunity for us to really scale and amplify our results there. So our emails after a webinar sequence really does, or after a webinar launch, really does matter so much. It's part of the launch. And in conjunction with that is your social media presence. So if it's a live launch where you are inviting your organic audience, you want to make sure that you are showing up on socials as well, talking about the launch, talking about people that have joined, letting them know if there are bonuses or other incentives, answering any questions, taking them behind the scenes, letting them see inside of your offer or your portal, whatever it might be, hosting Q&As. You want to keep showing up to the end. And that's all of the follow-up conversion strategy for your launch, because sometimes the most sales will come from these follow-ups and not from the live event itself. So just remember that. All right, number 6, and we've only got 2 more to go. I hope you're keeping up. Got your pen? All right, let's go. Number 6, cost per registration if you are using ads. So if you have really wanted to take this outside of your organic audience because you know it's an incredible thing, or maybe your audience is small and that's okay, then you're going to go pay for some ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads. And what you want to do is look at how much did you pay for each person who signed up. If you spent $200 on ads and you got 50 signups, then each registration cost you $4. Okay, so that's your cost per registration. And knowing this helps you decide if your ads were effective, if it was worth it, if you maybe want to go back and change your creative or change your ad strategy. It gives you some data to know what you need to optimize there. Okay, so that's like a whole other part of launching. Number 7 is revenue. This is what you made. It's the fun part, right? How much money did your webinar make? Even if you didn't make a huge profit, don't worry about it. What are you going to make it mean? That you're not going to do them again? No, because you made a true decision to master it, right? Every webinar is practice. You're learning how to connect with your audience, how to explain your offer clearly, how to build confidence. You're getting better at speaking, at leading, at holding space, at addressing objections live, at answering questions, at telling member success stories or client success stories. That is all real progress. And it does pay off in future launches because progress is always in the micro. It's the compounding nature of getting better over time. But you don't get better over time if you only do things a handful of times, which is what most people do. And that's why most people don't get beyond the sucky launch, if I'm honest. Okay, so the 7 simple numbers to track in your next launch is the landing page conversion. Are people signing up? Is number 2. Live attendance. Are people showing up? Number 3, watch time. Are they staying to the end? Number 4, sale conversions. Are they buying on the webinar? Number 5, follow-up sequences. Are your emails and social media posts working? Number 6, cost per registration. Are your ads bringing in the right people? And number 7, are you seeing a return on your time and energy? Are the people buying? Now, you do not need fancy tools to keep track of all of this. You can use a simple Google Sheet or notebook, works perfectly. Just keep track, notice patterns, and put your post-launch debrief in front of eyes that can help you interpret the data and give you your next best step. And then it's just about improving little by little each time. So remember, my friends, mastery doesn't happen overnight. It happens through intentional repetition. Every webinar you run makes you sharper, clearer, more confident. Trust me. And just keep showing up. Keep tracking the numbers. Keep refining. And as I promise, your next launch will be stronger because of it. If you found this episode helpful, I would be so grateful if you would share it on social media, if you would hit the share button or copy the link to this episode and send it to a friend. Maybe you can be accountability buddies. Until next time, just keep going, keep moving forward. Make a true decision to build your freedom-filled business and stay the course. I'm so grateful that you are here, and I look forward to catching up with you next time on the podcast. Bye.